I am German, and yesterday I watched UFC 320, and I was really interested to see Abus Magomedov fight on this card because he is the most successful MMA fighter from Germany by far, even more successful than Dulatov, right? And what I saw is he was getting dominated, okay? And he lost against Pfeiffer. Okay, the first round, he did well, right? Like, I mean, this is only the second round. But anyway, he did quite well in the first round. But it's always the same with him. He doesn't have the grittiness, he doesn't have the endurance to survive a real fight and to be competitive. And Pfeiffer is not a good fighter. Not at all. So when I saw him tap out like that, I was thinking to myself, hey, how can this actually be that Germany is so bad when it comes to MMA? Because if you think about it, Germany has 86 million people and many UFC fans as well, or MMA fans in general. If you think about it, the organization Octagon is, I think, the biggest MMA organization in Europe, and it's from Germany, you know? So I was wondering, how can that be? And I think it has multiple reasons, okay? First of all, I want to establish that German MMA fighters are really bad, okay? So, because some people are gonna tell me, yeah, what about Islam Dulatov? What about if Abus wins his next 10 fights? So, first of all, Abus is never gonna be champ. I don't even think he's gonna be ranked, you know? He doesn't deserve a ranking. He's not UFC level. And how can that be that a fighter who is the best MMA fighter from Germany cannot even improve his endurance? How can that be? We know about his bad endurance for years now, and he wasn't able to improve that. How can that be? Because I see other fighters struggle but then improve in some way, but he doesn't improve. And when it comes to Islam Dulatov, the problem with him is that he's a prospect, but he fought two nobodies, and he's not ranked. So I don't even consider him a good fighter because he has never fought a good fighter, right? So Islam Duratov also, I'm not thinking about him until he has like one or two good wins, you know? And even then, when I watched his fight, I don't see him beating Shafkat. I don't see him beating JDM. I don't see him beating Islam Makhachev. And if he cannot beat them, you know, like, he's not a great fighter. And I mean, the thing that's really weird to me is just that UK has a champion with Tom Aspinall. Even South Africa used to have a champion with DDP. The Czech Republic had Jiří Procházka, or still have him. So how can this actually be happening that Germany is so bad? And I think there are multiple reasons. I think one reason, honestly, is that MMA became famous in Germany quite late, and actually MMA had a lot of restrictions up until 2015 in Germany. So many of the people that know about MMA know about it recently. So also the fighters in Germany, they're not that well developed. And this comes with another problem. There's not a huge amount of great fighters in Germany. So there are also not a lot of good MMA gyms. If you think about it, the United States has AKA, American Top Team, and many other fight camps, and you know, like, real trainers who are really knowledgeable. And I think Abu's trainer, I think he's trash. I think Duratov's trainer is trash because they're not even close to the level of the United States, because the United States had so many years of practice before them. But also, this is why they are worse like Germany's worse than Brazil, Germany's worse than Russia, just because these countries had time to adjust their plans. And also, here's another big reason. Germany does not have a culture that promotes MMA fighting. If I think back about my class in school, most of the athletic guys were playing football. So they were playing football from when they were like 4 or 5 years old, and this is all they did, right? But they never would have even thought about going into MMA, right? Whereas in United States, at least you do some wrestling when you're a teenager. At least that. I mean, not everyone is going into MMA, although many people in the United States are, but at least you're going into wrestling. So once you transition to MMA, you have like something to build on. And in Germany, you have like nothing, because wrestling is not big in Germany. Judo is not big. BJJ is not big. I don't know, kickboxing is not big. Like, there are no big martial arts in Germany. And that's the one reason why I think we will never have a German MMA or UFC champ. I mean, of course, we will have like German champs like in European organizations, because European organizations are absolute trash. But I mean, in the UFC, I think we will never see this, because there's just not the right culture for it. Also, I think another problem is Germans are people culturally who prefer safety over risk. This is a big difference compared to people in Brazil, compared to people in Mexico, compared to people in the United States. In the United States, people take risk to make it as a fighter. But in Germany, the people are a little bit more conservative, you know? They will get a safe office job in order to have a good life, or like a average life, but they will not risk everything in order to become a fighter. This is not really a German mindset. I feel like in Germany, 99% of people hate taking risks and they enjoy safety. And if you have this kind of safety, I mean, you have a good society, right? But you will not have great fighters, because in order to become a fighter, you kind of have to walk through the fire and accept that there's an 80% chance that you're not gonna make it, and you're gonna end up broke. Your body will be broken. Maybe you're gonna have brain damage, no money. You're gonna have nothing, you know? So this is a high chance. In the United States, people just do it. People are so easily going into risks and they don't care. In Germany, we don't do this. Like, even in Germany, everyone has an insurance for everything. Like, for everything, a single thing that you can imagine, like for a, I don't know, for everything. Like, I don't even know how to say this, but yeah, Germany just has a different kind of culture, you know? People don't take risks. Never. They always go the straight way. They kind of live in a matrix, but in a good matrix, you know? I love Germany. But people really don't go for their dreams. So I think most fighters are just in Germany, and they're just, I should become a lawyer, I should become a doctor, I should become a construction worker. I shouldn't become a fighter because I'm not gonna get money, you know? So this is why we are trash. If you think about it, in Brazil, for example, Brazil in and of itself does not have opportunities, or not many, to make a good career. I mean, there are not that many jobs that will provide a good future. So might as well take the risk that can get you there, you know, because there's no alternative. In Germany, there's a good, safe alternative. You know, you become a construction worker, you're gonna earn 2,700 net a month. You're gonna live, I don't know, like in a 1,000 euro apartment, and you're gonna be fine, you know. But in Brazil, there's nothing like that. And also in Mexico, there's nothing like that. So these countries produce champions. If you think about it, Brazil had so many champions, I cannot even name them all, like Anderson Silva, Alex Pereira, Jose Aldo, so many. And Mexico had Alexa Grasso, Brandon Moreno, all these guys, because they have no alternative. So they just make it, okay? And the same as with Russia. I mean, how are you going to make money in Russia? It's really tough. I think the average salary in Russia is like 300 US dollar per month. So there's no opportunity, Like 60% or 70% of people live in poverty. So might as well go for it, And there's also the thing that Russia actually invests in their training camps. There's also the thing that the United States actually invests in their training camps. Like, I mean, the government of the United States and the government of Russia. And guess what? The government of Germany would never do that. Not in a million years. They would never subsidize a MMA gym. Never. It's just not part of our culture, And I think also a problem is in Germany, most people do not like big changes, right? So, for example, if there was a huge hype in MMA gyms or in people interested in MMA in Germany, people would not welcome it. People would talk down on it. They would say, this is a stupid sport. You're never going to make money anyway. And to be honest, in a way, they have reason, because most people who start MMA will never make money off it. And most people who start making money with it will be broke at the end. And maybe 1% will be rich, okay? So it's true in a way. But this kind of thinking also prevents Germany from starting new things, progressing, creating new companies, People always want to take the safe route, but in life, there's really no safe route. I mean, if you think about it, Germany's economy is in a recession for the third year in a row. And people think that they can just fix the old system and everything will be back to how it was 2005 or 2010. It's not gonna happen, It's never gonna happen. It's over, and Germany has to change. But you can see it in the government, you can see it in the people. We don't like to change. We don't like to go into the unknown. So we rather destroy ourselves knowingly what's gonna happen than try to reinvent ourselves. It's just a negative thing about our culture, In this life, you have to take some risk, right? And this is how we ended up with Abu Magomedov as the best fighter of Germany, who, by the way, is complete trash and should retire forever. This is the story of how Germany will never be successful in MMA. Because if I think about it, I don't see this changing, okay? I mean, there's only one way. If there was like a huge superstar right out of Germany who entered with the UFC and became a champion, then it would change. Because then you would see, hey, this guy from Germany, he made it. He's like hope, We can actually do something. But this doesn't happen so easily, Like when Conor McGregor became champion and the biggest figure in combat sports, you have to imagine Ireland is really different than Germany. Ireland already had a huge boxing and martial arts background. Germany doesn't have that. I mean, boxing, we have great boxers, but martial arts, absolutely not. And so all the MMA fighters from Germany are complete trash. Dulatov, Magomedov, Max Holzer, or how his name is, Flying Uwe, all of them complete trash, and it will stay like that, Only if Germans started to change the way of life that they had, something will change. Even if you look at Germany, it's gonna decline more and more and more and more and more and more. More recession, more poor people, higher taxes. Everything is gonna be destroyed until Germany finally gets the bravery to change something. You have to change something, okay? And safety, it doesn't exist, especially not in the MMA world.